Welcome to Valley Politics. I'm your host, Terry Christensen, and today we'll talk with Maya Esparza and Tam Nguyen, the runoff candidates for San Jose City Council District 7 in the November election. This district is south central San Jose, smack in the middle of the city, and it's dominated by Vietnamese and Latinos, with whites distinctly in the minority. This is an important race because the winner in the district is likely to be a swing vote on the City Council on many key issues. Nguyen beat Esparza by just 209 votes in a 2014 runoff, so this is round 2 for them. Is it a grudge match? We'll see. Later, Esther Peralez-Dieckmann will tell us about the good work of next-door solutions to urban violence. Then on Where Are They Now, we'll meet B Robinson Mendez, who, as it happens, was the founder of San Jose's first organization to address domestic violence, a program that eventually became Next Door Solutions. Bea was also a leader on lots of other local issues, including police-community relations and the empowerment of Latinos. All this next on Valley Politics. Welcome everyone, and welcome Tam Nguyen and Maya Esparza, runoff candidates for Council District 7, very important district. Could be a swing vote on the future council. I want to start off by just asking you what each of you thinks is the most important issue in District 7 right now. Let's start with you, Tam.
Well, thank you, Terry, for the opportunity. Unfortunately for District 7, the most important issue turned out to be not as mentioned as the other issue, which is the housing needs for the community. But the pressing issue is the homeless and trash and cleanup that I have to deal with every weekend from 7 to 10 every Saturday. But also on my daily basis, me and my staff spend so much time and effort on. So I would like to, later, sometime in the future, we would have an opportunity to address a real issue, which is the need for affordable housing in District 7. But now we have to deal with the homeless, the trash, the cleanup issue, and then later on the potholes and road repairs. So the bottom line for District 7 we share is probably the first is the issue of safety, then the health, the cleanliness. Those are my top 2 concerns in District 7.
Okay, Maya?
So after knocking on thousands of doors in District 7, homelessness is the #1 issue that people bring up. And the second issue, which relates to the first, is housing. The cost of housing, affordable housing. Those are big concerns of residents in District 7. Even if they're housed, they're worried about their family members and their neighbors.
Okay, there are big issues citywide and maybe more intensely in District 7. But another big issue hit District 7 in 2017, the flood, which hit District 7 harder than any other district. My district, District 3, got hit pretty hard too. Do you think the city and the water district have done enough to prepare for the next possible flood?
So I was out at the flood. I was out at the community center helping people and helping to coordinate the response. I think while the city and the water district have made some big changes, we have a temporary berm, we still need to have a permanent flood mitigation project in that area. And what we need to do more than anything is engage local residents. The water district has committed to having information in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, but on the ground when all that was happening, we didn't have information for community members. And many of the residents in District 7 were low-income residents who didn't have a really big safety net. And they needed help, and they needed it right away with not a lot of bureaucracy. And those, I still think we have some work to go on that.
Tam, what about you? Do you think the water district and the city have done enough?
First of all, the Vietnamese American Commissioner on Lucretia for the first time turned into a local community center to help the flood. I was there with them every day. But that flood in February was a wake-up call on both sides on the water district that we weren't prepared to fix up the Coyote Creek and with the control of the Anderson Dam. But then eventually, very recently in December, they installed the dike. Within the 3 months, the $500 million project already done to help prevent. That's great. So the second issue was the San Jose for the first time realized we didn't have an alarm system. We didn't have a means to respond quickly. So we learned it very diary, and now we realize that. So apparently the Office of Emergency Response learned a great deal, and so we put together a great effort to not only to deal with the emergency situation, but also we work with the water district to prevent future flood. By the way, that is the flood of the century. So the future concern will not be much of any preparation outside, but probably control and refortification of the water, the Essendon water dam, because the dam was not designed to hold the water for drinking. So I think eventually in the future there is possible way to help improve that, to prevent future happening.
That's Anderson Dam.
Anderson Dam, yeah.
I'm sorry, Anderson Dam.
Yeah.
Which they've been talking about fixing for a really long time and haven't actually managed to do it yet.
Right.
But it's really crucial for Coyote Creek in particular that runs through your district and also District 3 downtown.
And the Water District is committed to sort of lowering that so that it doesn't flood the creek in the future. But then that has water conservation impacts.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add one more thing in the flood response. One of the things that emerged just by the needs, but it wasn't sort of intentional from the beginning, was to really coordinate with the Franklin McKinley School District, which has MOUs with nonprofits in the city. By the end of the first day, the teachers at Shirakawa School had started a GoFundMe drive. They started a drive for clothing and personal items and a drive for food. And they had identified hundreds of students and their families who were impacted. And that was in just one day. I mean, the teachers were outstanding. And the school district and the school are a trusted entity in the community, which was really important. Excuse me, which was really important in these times, challenging times.
Yeah, the community response in general in the downtown and District 7 was really amazing and exciting and inspiring.
And the community donations, people stepping
huge
up.
donations that you helped get. Well, you both mentioned homelessness with my first question. So let's go back to that. And my question now is District 7 doing enough to help solve the problem of homelessness? Tam?
Actually, the homelessness issue is not only a service issue. It's citywide, countywide, and statewide. We, for 4 years, I've been on my council, been struggling with that. It's been occupied all my time and energy. So far, the city is working very hard, and we will start seeing this summer. In fact, right now, we are reaching our community in terms of the tiny homes, in terms of safe parking, and we are identifying many locations even for future encampments too. So after all this 3-4 years I've been in council, I'm the one who went and spent the night with the encampment to learn from there. Apparently the San Jose finally opened the dialogue to not only permanent housing, but we do a lot of bridge and interim and alternative housing too. So starting from this fall on, the San Jose will see more solution, help to relieve some of the burden from the homeless issue.
Will District 7 have tiny homes or encampments?
That would be a great answer coming up very soon, because apparently we came from 99 sites to 3 to 2, one in District 3, one in District 7. So the idea is to relieve the tension right there in the neighborhood. But so far, staff been reaching out within the past week or so. But in the near future, we will hear announcement from city staff.
Maya?
Yeah, I think homelessness is a city and countywide issue. District 7 is where our county's largest homeless shelter is located, the Bacardo Reception Center that Home First operates. That's in District 7. District 7, I believe, has the second largest number of affordable housing units in the city. But we are also the district that was home to the jungle. And we still have some number of very large encampments in the city in District 7. And I think Measure A was a really important moment in our county.
Tax.
It was the countywide housing bond that
Yeah, the
passed
bond.
in 2016. I volunteered a lot on it, and a lot of veterans groups and senior groups and community groups and housers worked together to make that happen, because we know that the solution to end homelessness is housing. And so we have 10 projects underway with Measure A funds. But
In
they're
District 7?
not in District
No,
7. Yeah,
countywide. But
countywide.
That's good. That's good.
And we have a lot of opportunities to make homeless response better. So for example, we have very few homeless response coordinators in the city. Three of the 9 are designated for District 3. I believe that we should staff that department more to respond to residents' concerns and to really go out and help our homeless neighbors. So that's something that we should do more. The number that residents can call with their homeless concerns hotline is a number on a desk of one person that staffs it from, during a regular workday. That really should be a hotline, and it should be multilingual, and people should know what's going to happen next. There were a number of issues when we had an overnight warming location at Tully Library. There was a street right next to the library that had a lot of overflow issues and issues with residents, where the residents really needed somebody to come out and resolve the issues that were happening in real time, and that took too long. So we also could need some motel conversions, where we can do motel conversions for shelter, but also to have permanent supportive housing.
Well, you both mentioned housing as well as homelessness, and affordable housing in particular. Another really big issue, I know you're hearing about it because I am in District 3 and they're talking about it in District 5, and that's displacement. And actually it's fear of Google. And what's starting to happen already with the Google proposals coming downtown is home prices are rising, people are getting pushed out of their homes, rents are rising, people are getting pushed out of their homes. So my question isn't directly about housing, it's we want Google, that's good, it's jobs, it's an economic boost for the city, it's tax revenue, but how do we deal with the negative impacts, displacement in particular, and what's Google's responsibility and what's the city's responsibility in helping your constituents cope? Maya, we'll start with you.
So our District 7 is already home to a lot of multi-generational families, or families who are renting a room. It's being marketed in real estate as downtown adjacent, which it is, but it's just that interesting real estate language that people are getting displaced out of downtown and coming into District 7, which impacts our district even more. I think displacement is not just exclusive to Google. I think we see a lot of that, particularly within tech, and not just tech, but the tech residents with those incomes, and then everybody else. And so it's not just Google, it's been happening for a long time. And I think the city has a responsibility to ensure that we have housing for people all across the spectrum.
Tam?
I've been amazed and grateful to many high-tech company, and one of them is Google, known to be very well do good PR events and community relationships. So I was a little bit surprised and disappointed by the last sudden announcement about Google without community knowledge or participation. If I were Google, I would think Google would spend good money in terms of investing into community, in terms of relationship, in terms of being inclusive with the advocates, with the community prior to the announcement. That would bring them on board and give them the trust of partnership and to bring a solution instead of a sudden announcement that we hear, we're strong, we're rich, and who are you? So that I thought in the near future, I would urge Google, we have still time. We have people waiting and willing to talk. It's about time to reach out. Then we can restructure the dialogue and work toward a good solution for everybody.
Okay. Now I have some short answer questions for you. So one word, it could be yes or no, or it could be a choice. Start with you, Tam. What's your favorite park in District 7?
Of course, we have the Japanese Friendship Garden in District 7. In fact, probably the
Hey.
best in town. Sorry. Japanese Friendship Garden.
Okay, Maya,
History Park.
History Park. Maya, Metro or Mercury News?
Both.
Both. Tam?
Metro.
Metro. Present company accepted. Who is the elected official in the county that you admire most?
Cindy Chavez.
Cindy Chavez.
Susan Hammer.
Susan Hammer. Do you favor or oppose State Proposition 10, which would allow cities to bolster rent control? Prop 10.
Support.
Support.
Tam, do you favor or oppose Proposition 6, which would repeal the gas tax?
Oppose.
Oppose.
Okay. Tam, I expect you'll get a lot of support from the Vietnamese population of the district, which is very large. Maya, I expect you'll get a lot of support from the Latino population of the district, which is very large.
Larger.
But neither of you can win just with the Vietnamese vote or the Latino vote. So what are you doing to reach out to other constituents beyond your ethnic voter base? Maya?
Well, in 2014, I came 209 votes short, and you don't do that by just focusing on one ethnic group. And that's not what we're doing now. We're knocking on all doors. We're meeting with different groups, producing content in different languages. District 7 is often talked about as being Latino or Vietnamese, but really we're incredibly diverse. And that's a beautiful thing. And we need, if we want to make District 7 stronger, we need to make sure everybody is able to participate in that.
Tam?
That's true. The District 7 is most diversified, where we have a lot of immigrant people. But in fact, I admire and we appreciate the value of the Hispanic community and other community too. But me, myself, I realized that. So I took Spanish class. I have 2 dedicated staff speaking Spanish to outreach. In fact, I point out, look at the map. There were 9 precincts that I lost before. The last time before, but this time I've turned over the entire west side of it. Apparently, it is the result of my conscious effort to outreach to entire community, regardless of the ethnicity or community-based background.
Okay, that's good. I think you both know that I'm part of the Coyote Meadows Coalition, which is advocating for opening up the Coyote Meadows there between Story Road and Highway 280. It's where the jungle once was. Opening it up to recreation. We have a minute left, so I'd like to know in that minute, are you supportive of this endeavor? Tam?
In fact, I'm most delighted. I'm very grateful of the effort because that changed something negative into positive, preserve the good space, and make good use for community. I'm totally for it, and I will pledge do whatever I can to support, and hopefully it would be happening very soon in the near future.
I hope so too.
I support it. I think it's a great idea, linking the different trails throughout the city, and it's a great opportunity to for kids to be able to go from their school to Kelly Park to other activities. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, on that happy note of agreement, thank you very much, Maya Esparza. Thank you very much, Councilman Tam Nguyen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now in community news, Esther Peralez-Dieckmann will fill us in on the good work of Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence.
Did you know that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience intimate partner violence, also known as domestic violence, in their lifetime? Every year, 5 million children in the U.S. are exposed to domestic violence and suffer devastating short and long-term negative effects. The cost of domestic violence in the U.S. is an estimated $8.2 billion in lost productivity and healthcare costs. Next Door Solutions is the largest provider of domestic violence services in Santa Clara County. For 47 years, we have helped move thousands of families from crisis and violence into safety and self-sufficiency and ultimately a better quality of life. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship, there is help. If you are in a life-threatening situation, dial 911. If you are in crisis and need to speak to someone at any time, please call the Next Door Solutions 24-hour crisis line at 408-279-2962. If you would like to speak to an advocate to explore all your options, please call Next Door Solutions at 408-501-7550. You'll be connected with an advocate who will help you with assessing the risk you may be in, offer safety planning, and different options to help you with your situation. Finally, we encourage you to help us ensure life-saving services are available for those who need help. Become a donor today and visit us at nextdoor.org to make a tax-deductible contribution of any amount right now. Together, we can end domestic violence in the moment and for all time.
Next, on Where Are They Now, we'll meet B Robinson Mendez, who founded the precursor to Nextdoor Solutions. But that's just one of her many accomplishments. Bea is a longtime grassroots activist and leader and truly an unsung hero in this community. Welcome, B Robinson Mendez. We're so happy to have you today.
Thank you, Terry.
So we've known each other for quite a while. You've spent virtually a lifetime as an activist in San Jose politics. What got you started? Why engage in political community activity?
I think my brother, Jose Vasquez, who has since passed, forced me to go to meetings and do all kinds of things. And so eventually I gave in and just started on my own. But I did have an experience of domestic violence that pushed me to the starting of WOMA.
WOMA, tell us what WOMA, well, first of all, what's WOMA stand for, and then
okay,
what
WOMA,
do you have in mind starting it?
The organization's name was the Women's Alliance, but we needed a shorter version of that, so we took the man out of woman and called it WOMA. And that was very nice, very, very nice.
This is early 70s, right?
Early 70s, very early 70s. And it stood for a long, long time until now it's called Nextdoor Solutions.
And it was WOMA for, I don't know, until 1988, I think.
Exactly.
When it became Nextdoor
Right.
Solutions too. And did you start right in with WOMA on domestic violence? There weren't other organizations around dealing with this at that time.
There were no organization was dealing, in fact, in the entire state, there was no organization dealing with domestic violence. The reason we moved to domestic violence is because we opened an office, a WOMA office, and started publicizing our existence, and women started coming in, and the most critical need was assistance with their domestic violence problems.
So it started out as basically a women's drop-in center.
A women's
and
center.
you were on
yeah.
Alum Rock?
On Alum Rock,
Yeah.
right on the corner of Alum Rock and 101.
101.
Yeah.
And how did you raise money initially?
We had no money, zilch, not even 10 cents, but so we started having enchilada dinners, taco dinners, and so we started raising money that way. And eventually, with a lot of publicity, a lot of help from a lot of people, eventually got government grants, foundation money grants, and we expanded and expanded, and from zero, when I left the program, we had $1 million budget.
And a staff of?
About 40.
Wow, wow. And so what happened when somebody dropped in and said, I'm getting beat up at home?
Right. In the beginning, we did peer counseling, which was, you didn't require a certificate or a license. Peer counseling means you're just one person to the next person who's gone through the experience. And so we used peer counseling as a mode of counseling. And then we realized that what we needed, the first need, was a hotline. So we started the first hotline in existence for battered women in the country.
Wow.
And it still exists and still has the same number, by the way. I'm proud of that. We went from answering the hotline, working with police departments, etc., to then trying to place women who were going through the experience in private homes. If we had enough money, we'd rent them a room at a motel. And eventually we got enough money to buy a shelter. I remember our first big grant for the shelter was from Hewlett-Packard. They gave us $30,000. And then a private individual gave us $25,000, etc., like that. It went on. And so we eventually had enough money to purchase our own shelter. It was amazing, the response we got. and I did a lot of public speaking. I had a schedule that I expanded on. Every year I would talk to more and more and more people. Just the sole purpose of it was to let them know about WOMA, the existence of WOMA, and help us raise money.
Well, you built an amazing program, and of course Next Door Solutions continues to thrive today, and unfortunately continues to be necessary.
It
because
does.
the problem you were addressing just does not go away.
As a matter of fact, I just found out that to date we've helped over 100,000 people.
Wow.
And I'm extremely proud of it.
Yeah, you should be proud.
Yes.
You should be proud. But of course, this is not all you did during your career as an activist. You were active with COPS, the Committee on Public Safety. Tell us about COPS.
Right. This was a time in San Jose when police brutality was the norm. It just was. If you were black or brown, or even a woman, police brutality was something that just went on, and nobody complained, and if you complained, nobody did anything about it. It said you were obviously wrong, or else you wouldn't have been arrested and beat up. So in that particular time, what happened is a case of not just plain police brutality, but actually a cop murdered a Latino young man. His name was Danny Trevino. And the whole case was known as the Danny Trevino killing. And it really, really struck a nerve with the community, particularly the Latino community, of course. And we created an organization called Committee on Public Safety. And we started going to City Hall council meetings. We would pack that place every Tuesday night. And we swore to the city council that we would be there every single Tuesday until they fired the police chief or fired the officer who actually killed Danny Trevino. It was an exhilarating time because we were able to share our feelings of frustration, of oppression, of discontent with our elected officials, etc. We had marches. We would pack City Hall so bad that they would have to close the doors and shovel people outside and put up speakers.
So you and COPS won the fight about firing the police chief.
We did.
He actually resigned, but he was under a lot of pressure. He resigned under pressure.
Right.
The police union defended him. Some members of the council defended him.
Exactly.
But other members of the council were more sympathetic. They were in a tricky position because technically the police chief works for the city manager, not the city council.
Not the city council.
So they couldn't formally censure him. They tried to, but it got overruled in court. So the council was in a little bit of a tricky position, but clearly only because of the pressure of COPS in the community at large. Robert Murphy was the chief's name.
Right.
Went. And then we got a chief that you liked more.
McNamara was a
Joe
wonderful
McNamara.
police chief. He came from Boston, I believe, Irish, who believed in community policing, and a subject that we had been throwing out, and of course city council and the city manager, everybody ignored that. But he was one of the first police chiefs in the nation to practice that ideology. So it was wonderful when he came to San Jose. He became a very beloved police chief by many.
Next month, we'll continue our interview with B Robinson Mendez, and we'll be back with more election coverage. Meanwhile, you can catch up on previous shows on our website at createtvsj.org, on YouTube by searching for Create TV San Jose, and you can let us know what you think about our show and suggest future topics or guests by email at valleypolitics@createtvsj.org, on Twitter at valley_politics, and by following us on Facebook. And now, that's all, folks. Thanks for watching Valley Politics. See you next time.